So it looks like Ubisoft will be making many more games just like Assassin's Creed Mirage. To a lot of you, that's great. You really liked Mirage's scale and how it was more akin to the older games in the series, but there's also some of you that are probably devastated at that news. Those of you that enjoyed the RPG trilogy more and appreciate a more open-ended Assassin's Creed game. Now, the reason we know it's very likely Ubisoft are going to be making more games just like Mirage, and who knows, maybe even a sequel, is because very recently Ubisoft put out a tweet and this is what it said. Assassin's Creed Mirage has been out for 6 days now, and we're thrilled by the love and positivity we have received over the last week. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey that celebrates, honors, and builds upon the 15-year legacy of the Assassin's Creed series. We could not have been happier that our Back to Roots experience has been embraced by the community. With the number of players being in line with the past successful launches such as Assassin's Creed Origins and Assassin's Creed Odyssey, we are humbled by the positive reception. We are proud to also share that Assassin's Creed Mirage is the biggest new-gen launch in terms of unit sales to date at Ubisoft. A big congratulations to the Bordeaux studio and all its partners in the project for this accomplishment. As a final thank you, we'd like to share some exciting community achievements from the first week of Mirage. And here you can see there were 479 collective years spent parkouring on the roofs of Baghdad, 60 million leaps of faith, and 1.2 million street cats pets. I don't know how the fuck they get those numbers, so I don't know how correct that is, but there you go. Now let me explain the reason to you guys why this means we're probably most likely going to get a lot more games just like Mirage. Before I get into that, if you're new to this channel and want to stay up to date with everything AC Mirage and AC in general, then feel free to press that subscribe button. I have a very raspy voice because my throat is fucked, and let's get into this. When it comes to business, any business, whether that's video games, music, TV, film, whatever it is, if something does well, they do more of what does well. When I post a YouTube video and it does really well, I think, okay, how can I make more of that? It's no different with Assassin's Creed Mirage. It sold really well, so they're going to look at themselves, being Ubisoft, and say, let's do more of that. What did we do with this game? Okay, we made it like a traditional AC, or at least as close to that as we did. Let's do more of that. And I think for the series, that is a great sign, personally. By no means am I saying Assassin's Creed Mirage is the best game in the series, but what it does do is it understands that true identity of Assassin's Creed, what it used to mean, and they've kind of been able to bring that back slightly with Mirage. And when I say that, I'm talking story, but I'm also talking gameplay and world as well. Being set in a big city, having a focus on parkour, and then with the story having a focus on the Assassins versus Templars, or the Hidden Ones versus Order of Ancients, and what that means. Having this story be the forefront of the game and the historical setting being the backdrop. That was what Assassin's Creed always was, and that is what a Mirage has succeeded to do. It's subjective whether you think it was executed well, but it did understand that AC DNA, and it did at least try to execute that. In 2013, when Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag released, it was a bit of a turning point for Ubisoft. They realized that history sells as well as assassins. So after their really well-selling pirate game, they started to think, okay, maybe we can start to market our games and base our games off of history being the forefront rather than the assassins. And then it diverged even more from that when Origins and Odyssey and Valhalla rolled around. Especially Odyssey, because it wasn't about the assassins in any way. It was about being a Spartan warrior or so in ancient Greece. The selling point was go to ancient Greece. The same with Valhalla. Sure, it had more of the philosophy of the creed within it, but it still was focused on that Viking fantasy, not an assassin fantasy. It was a Viking fantasy with assassin elements. Now, these games sold amazingly. Valhalla is one of Ubisoft's best-selling games of all time, so they thought, okay, of course we're going to make more of these. But what I think is amazing is that a game such as Mirage, focused on an assassin fantasy, also sold way more than they thought it would, way past their projections. What that tells me, based on what businesses usually do and what they have done in the past themselves, is they're going to make more games like this. Especially with Assassin's Creed Infinity rolling around, being Ubisoft's new live service type platform where all Assassin's Creed games will come to, I think it's likely we're going to see a mix of different Assassin's Creed games. Number one, we're going to get more games just like Mirage, focusing on that assassin fantasy, social stealth, parkour, and the like. But on top of that, I think they're also still going to focus on these other fantasy games. Because Valhalla still sold well, Odyssey still sold well, so if that sold well, they're still going to want to make more of that. I think Ubisoft are going to use this Infinity live service to please everybody. Now, some say a jack of all trades is a master of none, and I think that could actually be a very plausible thing when it comes to Ubisoft. If they focus on too many things, they stretch themselves too thin, I do worry that all of these types of games maybe won't be as good as they could be if they were just focused on solely. If they decide they want to pump out Assassin's Creed games every year, maybe even 2 to 3 a year at this point, will the Assassin fantasy games really understand, or will they literally lose the Assassin identity again? And at that point, it is just a man with a hood and it doesn't really mean much. And then also on the other side of things, when they focus on these historical fantasy type things, will they go way overboard with the fantasy element and it literally just is unrecognizable from the other counterparts? I don't know if I explained that very well, so let me try that in a bit more depth. You make an Assassin's Creed game focused on the ideology of the Creed, the Brotherhood, the Templars versus the Assassins. You do that really well, but then a company tells you, we want more of this, we want more of this, we're going to give this to all of our different studios, and you're going to get a mixed bag of results when it comes to quality of games in that type of genre. Again, same on the other side with the fantasy aspect of things. So it could be a good thing, or it could be a bad thing. I think that's a whole other conversation when it comes to the Infinity service and making many games, but let's go back to our original message. Mirage sold really well, which makes me think, and many others, that they're going to make more games in the series just like Mirage. That inherently is a good thing, and whatever they do in the future, at least we can focus on that message and say, you know what, I'm happy that is the case, especially if you're an OG AC fan. I've been with the series from the start when I was about 6 years old, so for me, Mirage suits me personally a lot better than a game such as Odyssey does. So for me, this is amazing. We're going to get more games that actually focus on the Assassins versus Templars or the Order of Ancients versus the Hidden Ones. We know in 2024 that Assassin's Creed Codename Red is going to come out, and that's going to be a focus on the feudal Japan era. Now, my theory with this game is they're going to try to blend a proper assassin fantasy with a historical fantasy. I think it's going to turn out that the ninja, the shinobi, will be the Assassin Brotherhood. We do know, according to leaks at least, that there will be 2 playable characters in this game. One shinobi, aka ninja, and one samurai. So perhaps this is their way of tackling both sides of the AC series. You play as a ninja, being an assassin, and then whenever you want to switch character, you get to play as a warrior, just like you did in Odyssey and Valhalla, and then you focus on that fantasy side of things. Now, whether that's a good thing or not, that's for another video, but I do think that's what will happen with the next AC game, and then from there, we'll see more games that split off and focus on specific niches. Hopefully, it means everyone will be happy. It means I'll get to play the games that focused on the Assassins versus Templars that I really like, and then the other side of the AC community who are more fans of Odyssey get to play those types of games, and then maybe we'll be in this sort of symbiotic appreciation of one another. We aren't a big fan of each other's games, but we can respect each other because we don't have to fight over what's good and what's bad. We just get to play our own. Now, that's a really weird analogy as I'm saying this out loud for one video game series. Usually a video game series is fairly similar throughout, so at that point, don't you just diverge and make a different series, you know? I don't know, but Ubisoft makes so much money off of the Assassin's Creed IP, they're gonna do as much as they can. I do feel like AC is kind of becoming the Marvel Cinematic Universe at this point, you know? There's so much stuff going on, some stuff good, some stuff bad, some stuff in a certain genre, others in another. It does feel that way, and in a way, I suppose you could say it's had a similar burnout, just as the MCU did after Endgame. Again, that's another conversation. Overall though, what do you guys think about this? Do you think this is a good thing? Do you think Mirage will get a sequel? And do you think in general we're going to see more Assassin's Creed games that actually focus on the initial idea that the first Assassin's Creed was based upon? Or do you think it's going to be more fantasy games and the like? Let me know, let's get a conversation going and build that AC community. I love you guys, mate. The father of understanding guiders. I will see you soon. Goodbye.